Those of you who have been perusing my back catalog will notice I've come back to the Al Jazeera Plus well. I had been ignoring them for quite some time, but this last series really got my goat, as it once again goes after Trump's immigration policies, specifically deporting felons. Alumni of the earlier videos will also notice there's a new spokesmodel, reporter, in front of the camera this time. Her name is Dina Takruri. I do need to explain that unlike pretty much all of my other videos, this one does not have every second of the original involved. I have cut it into smaller bites in order to keep the timestamp down and also in order to reduce the propaganda value that AJ Plus is so well known for. I've basically deleted extraneous shots at people, over-the-top pathos, and redundancies. I'm linking to the full video on the AJ Plus channel, so if you want the entire context, feel free. Although if it were me, I would download the video via third-party software and then watch it off my hard drive. Fuck Al Jazeera, fuck their views. And with that said, let's get to it.
In his first week of office, Trump issued executive orders to aggressively find and remove the undocumented. Now, ICE is even deporting those who've been following the law by regularly checking in with authorities.
Let's talk about this law. Under Obama, you could be an illegal alien and stay in the country as long as you checked in with ICE. And under Obama, they let you go. Under Trump, you're going to get checked for past criminal history. And if you've got any record of criminal offense, chances are you're going to get detained and you're going to get deported. Exactly what Trump promised he would do. No surprise whatsoever.
That's what happened to Guadalupe Garcia de Rayos, one of the first to be deported under Trump. Her husband asked not to be named in fear of ICE.
Yeah, so this is my wedding day.
We are following breaking news here where in Arizona, this mother of two has just been deported back to her native Mexico.
Guadalupe's story made national headlines, and she became a symbol of those caught in the Trump administration's widening deportation net.
You would have had to have been living under a rock not to know about Guadalupe. But most of the mainstream media did not cover the story in full. They left out a little part about her criminal activity that got her detained in the first place. Let's listen to her husband describe her crime, and then I'll tell you what it really was.
People who read the headlines, they might read that a 36-year-old undocumented woman with a criminal record was deported back to Mexico. What do you want people to know about Guadalupe and about the woman that she is?
Her only wrongdoing is just being poor. She just made up a social number. She used her name just for work, just to provide for her kids.
Guadalupe was not just using a social number to get by. She was committing felony identity theft, and the person whose card she used is named Alex Andrade. He did not know that his number had been stolen. He was not told by the police that his number had been stolen. He found out when Arizona Republic reporter got a hold of him, as his number was in the court records. Let's look at the rest of this article. Andrade said Thursday that it took him weeks to find the time to visit his Social Security office in person. In the meantime, he saw a television interview with Garcia de Rayos' husband. Quote, "He kept on saying his wife didn't do anything illegal and it didn't affect anybody or hurt anybody," Andrade said. "It bugged me because I didn't know at the time if it affected me yet or not." Andrade said he also sees the situation as the son of someone who crossed the border illegally. Andrade, who was born in Arizona, said his father came over from Mexico without authorization while he was in his 20s. Andrade said his father gained legal status in the 80s, believing it was through the amnesty program enacted by then-President Ronald Reagan. And to quote again, "I come from a family of illegal immigrants, but they got their situation right," he said. "They didn't use fake socials or anything like that." In other words, they didn't have to commit a crime beyond their initial illegal entry which was wrong, to get by. Guadalupe was in the U.S. for 20 years and had been using that fake number for nearly 10. She could have screwed Andrade over big time. She is not the victim here. Okay, now let's hear from Guadalupe herself. How does she feel about her current situation? This might open some eyes.
How are you feeling now, and how's life in Mexico been this past month?
Pues un poco difícil, pero pues echándole ganas, primero que nada, y saliendo adelante.
What do you want people who are watching this story to know? What do you want to tell them?
Que le echemos ganas y que no se pongan tristes, que hay que salir adelante.
Now, what I take away from this is she doesn't see herself as a victim. She doesn't see herself as lost without hope. She's working hard. She's making things go forward. I'm sure she misses her family terribly. I believe the daughters have visited on occasion, but the husband is illegal, so he doesn't dare cross the border and then try to come back again. He'll get picked up. He'd get deported to Mexico too.
What's life been like for you guys since Guadalupe's been deported?
She's missing, so you had the void inside of you, you know, like something's missing in your life. My daughter is 14, right, and her body's changing. So she's at the stage where she needs her mom to talk about women stuff. She needs her mom. I mean, they need it. They need it more than anybody.
This is poignant, to be sure. But let's look at it from another aspect. Remember all of the talk about anchor babies? How no one would be deported if they had children who were naturalized citizens? Well, that turned out to be false, didn't it? If you're a criminal and you get picked up by ICE or local PD, except in some sanctuary cities right now, and that's a real bone of contention. But still, you're going to get detained, and most likely you're going to get deported. The only chance you really have of getting out of deportation is if you can get a hearing and have your criminal record vacated. That takes a lawyer, that takes money, and that takes some pretty good luck too. Your case would have to prove that you got ineffective counsel.
Seeing what happened to Guadalupe, she went in, she was trying to be law-abiding and checked herself into ICE and got deported. What do you say to people in her position who are thinking about going to ICE for their regular check-ins?
If I was in that situation, I wouldn't go personally. Why? Because you cannot trust them. And my wife should be an example, like, to people to see what ICE is going to do to your family.
Couple of things here. First, she was not a law-abiding citizen. She was a felon, a convicted felon. She committed identity theft. That's not law-abiding. Second of all, his advice about not going in for your check-ins is terrible. Right now, if you don't have a criminal record, you are on the very low probability list of getting deported. It's possible, but that's not where the emphasis is right now. That emphasis is on criminals. People who either have a criminal record or who have just broken the law and are waiting to get pled out. If you don't go in for your ICE check-in, when you don't show up, you are automatically a criminal. You broke the law, and now you're not only an illegal, you're a target because you didn't maintain the minimal amount of due diligence to keep in this country. If you're a criminal, if you have a criminal history, maybe that's good advice. But for the vast majority of illegal immigrants who have not committed crimes, bad advice. Now, a little Al Jazeera plus, let's hate America, let's hate Trump, and let's stretch the truth so far it pretty much breaks. See if you can catch it.
We are going to get the bad ones out, the criminals and the drug deals and gangs and gang members and cartel leaders.
But Trump is going after more than just that. Under his administration, ICE is now using expedited removal to deport people without a hearing or a judge's approval. And that's left this community on edge, wondering who among them is next.
And there you have it. Trump talks about getting rid of the criminals, the bad criminals, the felons. Nothing is extrajudicial. Yet Dina has to ignore the criminals, has to ignore why we're shipping these people out, and instead has to focus on a process involved in that. Totally missing the point, totally obfuscating the point. Typical Al Jazeera shit. Fuck you, Dina. So, what did we learn? We learned that if you're a felon, you're more likely to get deported. We learned that some people think committing an extra crime in order to stay out of ISIS reach is a good thing. And we learned that Al Jazeera Plus has no fucking clue when it comes to how to frame an actual argument. I've been doing AJ Plus videos since the very beginning of this channel, and trust me, they haven't changed one bit, even though they did get rid of the second Francesca on YouTube and replaced her with someone who's got more curves. I'm not complaining, but then again, I'm kind of a skeevy guy. Next week, I may do another one from this series. I haven't decided yet. It will probably depend in a large part on how this one does. Until then, be well, and as always, thank you for your attention.